What I learnt at the Arsha Vidya Gurukulam, Shravanam is the only means to moksha, which means oral listening of Shastra, Mahavakyas or Vedanta is the only means to be free in the here and now. And this is said by the Upanishads themselves, that they, the Upanishads, are the means, the only means, definitely currently the only means by which we can know the truth about who we really are. The fact that we are Satchidananda, that is shown to us through the means of knowledge, which is Vedanta, also called the Upanishads. So when one is ready to learn, one has to approach a guru and ask to be taught on how to see who we truly are, on how to lose our ignorance that we have superimposed on ourselves. This guru has to be Shrotriyam and Brahmanishtam. From Mundaka Upanishad 1 to 12. Guru has to be of sound lineage, have a proper parampara where the guru has learnt systematically from his or her own guru so that they know how to teach. They know the pitfalls and other obstacles that come in the way of studying, and they're also abiding in Brahman or working towards it, thus role modeling as living examples for us to emulate in our own sadhana. Typically, traditional gurus who teach Shastra do not charge. The student pays as per capacity and will at the end of training to express love and gratitude for the grace and compassion shown by the guru by teaching the student. The guru does not prove, nor does Shastra, that we are Atma or that we are Satchidananda. That is self-evident. It is Swata Siddha. The Guru merely removes our ignorance of our own nature. He or she helps us to own up to it, to discover, to rediscover our real nature, our true self. To study, we need to have an open mind. To study anything, we need to have an open mind, especially about the reality of the Atma. We need to have Shraddha, that is trust pending understanding. We need to give the teacher and Vedanta the benefit of the doubt and not to learn this from reading books. Initially it is fine, but not as a pursuit or as serious study. The ego comes in the way. We will have our own mental inputs when we read something, more so when we read about the Atma, Paramatma, Jivatma, Jagat. And the way this pramana works is through Shravanam and not by self-study. Pramana means pramana is equal to means of knowledge. It means means of knowledge. So the pramana, the means of knowledge to know oneself, is Vedanta. And the way Vedanta is showing us our true self is by teaching it orally through a guru and for the student to listen to it regularly, consistently, orally. That is Shravanam. It's Shruti, that which is heard. The guru is equipped with various prakriyas and methodologies that help unfold the Shastra to us in a very systematic manner, which is not possible when we try and read something, because we analyze and objectify everything when we read. And here, there is nothing to objectify. Objectification is done when we are looking outward. But here, we need to know about ourself, which is inside, so to speak, which is hidden. So what will you analyze? The subject, that is me, cannot make the same me as an object of study. I am the subject who always objectifies and studies everything that is around me. But now I am the subject who also has to be the object. So therefore, I need somebody else to show me who I am or consistently tell me who I am and remove the dust from the mirror, so to speak. For example, a book cannot read itself. We read the book. So too with the self, the small self. The small self cannot really study the big self. And anyway, we are saying that I don't know myself, therefore I want to know. So when we say I don't know, how will asking who am I, how is that going to help me know myself better? It is good as a starter kit to pursuing Vedanta seriously. But unlike the great Mahatmas, like Ramana Maharshi and others, we do not have that, we cannot let ourselves be led on this path of asking questions by ourselves and hoping to find an answer. So we have to seek somebody who knows the answers and ask them to teach us. And the Guru teaches the words of the Upanishads orally. This is how Shabda Pramana works. It is like someone telling you about a place you've never been to. For example, if you've not been to Kashi, they can describe to you about the place, about how to get there, what to do there, what to see. And in this case, the object is you. And the Veda, the Upanishads, Vedanta, tells you about this you through the words, through its own words. The way you describe Kashi, it describes the self to you. And hence you need a third party who will say these words to you. So when you listen, you get a clarity, a hold on who you really are. Pramanam is a means of knowledge, as we saw earlier, and operates in its own domain and cannot be negated by any other means of knowledge. For example, the eyes see, the ears hear. So if the eye says this is a rose, the ears cannot tell you and contradict the fact that it is a rose. It cannot say, oh, I don't hear that it is a rose. I hear that it is some other like daffodil or something, or lotus. The ears only hear, they do not see. So you do not take them as a pramana. You do not take the ears to be the means of knowledge of sight. Sight is the domain of the eyes. So too self is the domain of the Upanishads. Upanishads are the pramana, the means of knowledge for the self, which is learned through Shravanam, taught by a guru orally, and it is a means to moksha, which is freedom in the here and now. And no other body of knowledge, definitely at the moment, talks of the self in such detail and in such a meticulous manner. Vedas are pramanam. Pramanam means the means to know something. The means of knowing the self are the Vedas or the Upanishads specifically. Just as we have eyes for seeing and the nose for smelling, the ears for listening, each of it operates in a field of knowledge. So too, we have the Vedas, the Vedanta, which occurs towards the end portion of the Vedas, also called the Upanishads, for knowing the self. So the Upanishads are the means to know oneself. Specifically the Vedanta Vakyas, the Mahavakyas, which bring out the oneness of the individuals, the jivas, with that of the Jagat, everything that is around us, and with Brahman, the oneness, the reality, the highest entity. Now this takes a lot of time to internalize. One of the major roadblocks for a lot of students, definitely it was for me, was to accept Vedas as Pramanam. I accepted what the Vedas were telling me, what the Upanishads were telling me, but to totally comprehend that a Pramanam means that it cannot be negated by any other means of knowledge, gave it full and complete power to the Upanishads as the whole and sole revealer of the self. And I had a major roadblock when I came here, when I came to this acceptance and this understanding that the Upanishads are the means to show the self, reveal the self, and that they have the last say on the matter. The first and the last say on the matter. Once we overcome that, then it's quite a easy ride, a joy ride almost. That along with Shraddha, having trust in the Guru and the Shastra to show us this truth about oneself, trust pending understanding, are the two major reasons why most people face hurdles in the path of Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, definitely. Now that is because we don't want to lose control. Everything up to now, we were in charge of everything that we were knowing and doing. Our sense organs were in charge, our intellect, our buddhi, our mind. We knew what we wanted, why we were doing what. But here we are not in charge, because the one that was in charge of trying to know various things, objects, relationships around us, outside of us, is the one that we are trying to know. So it's no longer in charge. We've given the charge to the Guru, the Shastra, and we have to let go. So that is the trouble. Someone else is showing us who we are. We find this very ridiculous. But if we analyze it quietly, deeply, it is not so. So to appreciate this, we need to make a shift from having a samsari bhava, where we are constantly ridden with fears and sorrow and insecurity and doubting each and everything, trying to figure out how can we benefit from each and every interaction. All that being self-centered, not self as in the Satchidatma self-centered, but very selfishly centered bhava. We have to shift from that samsari bhava to a sannyasi bhava, not necessarily to wear orange or ochre saffron robes, but to have this dispassionate bhava, this dispassionate feeling where we are not grabbing and going. That's not our mentality anymore, but it's the mentality of letting go, nyasa, samyak nyasa, just happily, very well letting go of what I held on to before as cherished ideas about myself. We must let go of our old habits, our ego, our desire to control, what to learn, how to learn, whom to learn from. Although a little analysis is good to figure out the teacher, as the Shastra describes, has to be Shrotriyam and Brahmanishtam. All that weeding out is good, well and good. But beyond that, we must let go of our control of how and what to learn once we found the Guru.